Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from the YouTube channel Redolescence. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have my friend Carlos joining me.
Hello.
And in today's episode, we're going to be going over 10 fragrances that were released in 2018 on the designer side, and we're very quickly going to be giving you our thoughts on them, so stay tuned. Before I start the video, I do want to offer this disclaimer. This is in no way intended to rank them from best to worst or worst to best. This is just us very randomly giving you the fragrances as we acquired them and telling you what we think of them, just kind of like a summary of our thoughts on these fragrances, and also to see if our opinion on any of these have changed since the day that we reviewed them. And so I want to thank you because you're actually the one providing us with these fragrances for review today.
So I sponsored this video a little bit?
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much, Carlos. Appreciate that.
You got it.
There are a few that obviously were released this year that I have at my house. It didn't occur to me to shoot this video until I got here. I thought this would be a cool idea.
Sometimes the best ideas are random and on the spot, and that's exactly what happened with this video that we're putting out today.
Well said, my friend, well said. So a couple of the ones that are not going to be mentioned in here are like Azzaro Wanted by Night, Nick Jonas release from the House of John Barbados.
Salvatore Ferragamo's signature.
Oh yes, that's right. And I still have that in my
Yes,
house. I gotta return that to you. Okay, cool. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the first one that I would like to talk about is Polo Red Rush from the House of Ralph Lauren. And this is one that we spent a little bit of time with. I know there was an event in Macy's in Manhattan where the model kind of showed up and he signed autographs and whatnot. I wasn't able to attend that event, but I did spend some time wearing this one. And what do you think of this one now that we've had it for a couple months?
I basically bought it to review.
Sure.
I liked it in the store. You know, it wasn't groundbreaking in any way.
Yeah.
But the longevity was pretty
Subpar.
Pretty sad.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
I mean, it's not a bad smell. I don't think a company ever intentionally wants to put out a bad smelling fragrance, though on occasion it does happen. This is pretty basic. This just doesn't have any wow factor.
I do think that the performance was a little underwhelming, and I also was not wowed by it. And so it's far from being one of my favorite releases from this year, for sure.
Okay, so moving right along, we've got from the House of Dior, this is Sauvage, the Eau de Parfum, concentration version. A little, I don't want to say, it's not as abrasive as the Eau de Toilette. It's not as loud. It's more subdued, which is typically the case when companies put out a Parfum version of their predecessors.
For sure.
I do like it. I didn't at first. When I was put on the spot or when I did my video, I said I liked the EDT better, but this has its place. And when you want something that has that flavor of Sauvage, but not as loud or not as punch you in the face, this can fill that void.
You're totally right. As is the case with most fragrances, when you have an EDT and EDP counterpart, it usually is the case that the EDT is a lot more diffusive. In the case of this one, I like how they added that vanilla in the base, which is kind of subtle, but I also see what you mean in terms of the opening being diminished, so it's not as attacking and it's not as abrasive. And so I know a lot of times the narrative that follows this one is that it has this metallic citrus opening, and you don't get as much from that from this one, although the DNA between the two is quite close. But when you do a side-by-side, you'll see that this is in fact a bit of a richer composition. The next one that I want to talk about is Aqua Dojo Absolute by Giorgio Armani. And this is one that I think people jump to make comparisons, and for good reason. And I do agree with those comparisons. People were calling it another version of kind of like a Victus Aqua, which is another one that was released this year, and it's not on this list, and it seems to be re-released every year since 2016. What do you think of this one now?
Well, I was looking at the level of the bottle, and I clearly didn't wear it at all. I honestly didn't.
But it looks like you've worn it.
I think this is just from all the ranking videos that I did with the girls and stuff since it was in a release.
Okay.
It's very sweet. It's almost too sweet, and I kind of have to be in the mood for it. I don't want to say I don't like it, or that I hate it, or strongly dislike it, but there's just so many others that I would reach for, or that I obviously did reach for before this one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because this came out in like January or February?
A bit earlier on in the year,
Yeah.
I do remember that, because I had reviewed it very early on. So Yeah, funny enough, this is one of the ones from the ones that are released this year that I think would get you the most compliments. And as a matter of fact, it has gotten me a lot of compliments. To this day, one of my most complimented designers is Invictus Aqua. And so I think this bears too many similarities to Invictus Aqua to not land you any compliments. And of course, this is a heavy hitter. And I think there's one or two other fragrances in this list, this one and this one, that I think are going to get a ton of compliments.
And there's another one. I don't know if it's
tucked away in the back.
Yeah, tucked away in the back. So, why don't we go for a blasé one?
Yeah, that's right.
One that was highly anticipated, one that we both were definitely looking forward to, and I ran out and got it, and the one gray from Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It
is what it isn't. And so we didn't really care about this one down the line, and this is one
this smells a little better to me.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. But I would choose the original Dolce & Gabbana, the one over this one and this one. So the next one is actually one of the newer releases. Hasn't been talked about as much. And this one is from the house of Hugo Boss, and it's called The Scent Private Accord, which I think is a really cool name. Thank you for picking this one up, by the way, Carlos. Really appreciate that.
Just joined the family yesterday.
And I'm actually
2 days ago, excuse me.
I'm actually wearing it.
It smells really good.
It's so good. It's so good.
It smells really good. Can I give a spoiler to my review?
Yeah, of course.
Performance is not fantastic. That's the worst part of this. It smells fantastic. It's probably one of the best from the scent series.
Yeah.
It smells fantastic, but on my skin, you know, your mileage may vary because everybody has different types of skin, as we know. This was a trail fragrance. Like, never. What do you think of this?
You gotta get close.
I have to walk away, and then they smell it, or get close as well.
Understood.
But smells good. Smells really good.
It smells awesome. I think that that's one of the best things about it, the smell. So it has the richness that is provided or lended by notes of cocoa. It has this chocolatey component. There's a little bit of like a coffee backbone. It's really interesting on top of that tonka bean vanilla thing that you also get from the original Descent and Descent Intense. So unfortunately, according to what you say, now of course I'm going to take your word for it, the performance is lackluster. And the only other thing that I would critique it, just on a personal level, is the scent has changed a lot. And so the opening is my favorite part, and it went away after 10 minutes.
I like the dry down. I like the lingering effect of this one. Yes, it's just not loud. Kind of like the way I love Salvatore Ferragamo Signature. It's very nice, but it's a trail fragrance. One of my favorites from this year, unexpectedly, this is Gentleman Givenchy, and it is a flanker to the original from 2016 or 2017. This came out this year. It's just great. It's made my top list. It's got personality. It's got depth. It's got body. It's a great wear. Patchouli is a big note in this.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And so I know there's a distinction between this one and the one that came out before it, I want to say, which is the note of pear. And so you'll have the clear bottle, then you'll have the inky looking bottle. And I like that. I like the fruity component about it. I like the sweetness to it. There's a bit of like an irisy thing going on in there. I think that that's definitely a solid release this year.
Love.
Very well done. Okay, so the next one is Jimmy Choo Man Blue. Now, the original, I remember just being an overdose of tonka bean, and so I wanted to buy it for review purposes, and eventually I did acquire a bottle. But I never ran out to the store to pick it up. This one I remember trying it in store, and I really liked it. And I was having a conversation with my Macy's sales rep, and he actually really liked this one too. But I guess I was just expecting too much of a similarity with the original that I never actually went out there and picked it up. And so we're using your bottle today. But what do you think about the smell?
I do like it a lot. Is it groundbreaking? Is it original? No, there's a million other things that smell like it. But it does work. In 2016, the long-awaited new release from Yves Saint Laurent that is not a flanker to L'Homme. It was Why. Not this one. That came out. We reviewed it. It just was blasé and definitely got lost in the shuffle of so many other better options out there. And fast forward to 2018, they came out with the Parfum version, which seems to be the way things work these days. And is it groundbreaking? No. Does it smell better than the original? Yeah, it does. It performs a lot better. The original, it grew on me. You know, I did a video, fragrances released in in 2017 that eventually grew on me a little better than when I initially tried them.
Okay.
So that made that list. But this is an upgrade to the Eau de Toilette for sure.
I definitely also think it's an improvement on both the smell and the performance.
Mhm.
Again, it's one of those fragrances that would kind of fall in the shuffle among the rest, and I think upon its initial release, one of the major criticisms that it received is that it does get lost in the shuffle, and it's not a healthy enough deviation from what's already being, crowding the market to make it an original and unique purchase.
It's over 100.
Yeah, oh, so that too. Yeah.
Not so good.
Second to last one that we'll be discussing today is by Bulgari, and this one is called Bulgari Man Wood Essence. Now, I mentioned this in my review as well, that by far my favorite iteration from the Bulgari Man series is Man in Black.
Okay.
And so I do like the original, kind of has this peppery, spicy quality, aromatic quality about it. Bulgari Man in Black is definitely a little bit sweeter with the pink pepper, kind of reminds me of Spice Bomb a little bit. And then this one, I think it just has that woodsy component that it's not easily discernible or detectable as to what you're smelling in there, whether it be cedarwood or sandalwood. And so it was one of those that, I don't want to use the term take you seriously, but it's one of those where it's like, oh, okay, this is a dressed up gentleman wearing the scent. But in terms of uniqueness and originality, not really.
Ironically enough, when I did some videos with some of the girls, Tiff Benson really liked it. Stephanie really liked it.
Oh, okay.
And I was taken aback a bit, but they genuinely liked it.
And this one is by Chanel, and it's called Bleu de Chanel Parfum. And this is the third installment. You have the original, you have the Intense, or the Eau de Parfum, and here you have the Pure Parfum.
I found the performance a little lackluster in the beginning, or so I thought. Another job story. When you interview for a job where I work, they wait in the shoe department, which is the department I work in, and there was a guy filling out an application, and he smelled fantastic. I mean, I walked into this cloud. I don't know how much he put on. I said, "What are you wearing?" I didn't grab it at first. I said, "Oh, Chanel Blue." I said, "The Eau de Parfum?" He said, "No, the Parfum." So after that, I said, "I gotta try it again," because that guy smelled amazing. When I tell you amazing, he smelled amazing. I found that this really does last better than I initially thought. It's one of those that you should intentionally spray on your clothes a little bit if you can, as is with this one too.
Yeah.
And it just gives it a little more oomph or a little more body. I do like it. It made my top fall list or winter list.
Yeah.
One of those lists.
Yeah.
So many lists.
Would you say Parfum does the same thing to the Eau de Parfum or the Eau de Toilette as this one does to the original Sauvage?
Yeah, I would say yeah. A little bit, but I really did wind up enjoying this one more.
So that was it. We wanted to go over 10 fragrances that were released in 2018. Now, of course, there's always something to love here depending on who you are, what your tastes are. If you're into something that's a little bit darker, if you're into something that's a little bit lighter, something that's a little bit sweeter, versus something that's a little bit woodsier. I think that we're just a couple of opinions, and although we might not have loved some of them, that's not to say that you won't love them. Thanks again for tuning in. Carlos's information is going to be down below as well, so definitely make sure to subscribe to him and check his channel out. He has a lot of great content going on over there. And if you did find something of value from this channel and this content, please do make sure to subscribe to me. If you are new here, I would really appreciate that. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.